What if forgetting your dream isn't your memory failing, but something your brain does on purpose? What if the reason it vanishes by the time you're brushing your teeth has nothing to do with how good your memory actually is? Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt like an entire movie, a full plot, people you somehow recognized, a place you'd never been but instantly understood, and by the time you sat down with your coffee, it was just gone? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Sleep researchers have found that most people lose almost every dream they have within about 10 minutes of waking up, and it has nothing to do with a bad memory. What looks like your brain failing to hold on to a dream is actually your brain actively letting go of it, on purpose, using two separate systems. In this video, you'll learn exactly what those two systems are, and why the second one is the one that actually lets you start remembering your dreams. The first mechanism is chemical, and it starts with a part of your brainstem called the locus coeruleus. While you're awake, it's constantly releasing norepinephrine, basically the brain's save button, the chemical that tags an experience as important enough to move from short-term buffer into long-term memory. The moment you enter REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreaming happens, the locus coeruleus goes almost completely silent. Norepinephrine drops close to zero. Everything happening in that dream is being generated in real time, but it never gets the chemical tag that would file it away permanently. It sits in a short-term holding buffer that clears itself out fast, usually within minutes, unless something rescues it first. That's why dreams don't fade the way a normal memory fades. A normal memory weakens over days. A dream gets erased outright, closer to a browser tab closing than a photo fading. The second mechanism is about which part of your brain is even awake to encode the dream in the first place. Your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic, time tracking, and stitching experiences into a coherent, dated timeline, runs significantly less active during REM sleep than when you're awake. That's actually why dreams feel the way they do while they're happening. Places shift without explanation. People become other people mid-conversation, and none of it seems strange in the moment, because the part of your brain that would normally flag it as inconsistent isn't fully online. But that same underactive prefrontal cortex is also the part responsible for filing a memory with a proper when and where. Without it doing its normal job, the dream has nowhere stable to be filed. So on top of never getting chemically tagged as important, it never gets properly indexed either. Harvard sleep researcher Robert Stickold has a theory for why the brain might do this on purpose rather than by accident. Forgetting most dream content may actually protect your grip on reality. If your brain treated last night's dream with the same memory weight as something that actually happened, you'd start every day trying to sort real memories from things that never occurred. Wiping most dream content clean by morning means you wake up with one continuous, trustworthy timeline instead of two competing ones. The forgetting isn't a side effect of sleep being messy. Under this theory, it's closer to a safety feature, the same system that lets you dream as vividly and strangely as it wants overnight, precisely because it knows almost none of it will survive contact with the morning. Both of those systems have a weak point, and dream researchers like Tore Nielsen at the University of Montreal have spent years mapping it. First, norepinephrine ramps back up the instant you wake up and move, so the moment you reach for your phone or sit up in bed, you flood the exact system that was suppressed, and whatever hadn't been filed yet gets overwritten fast. Staying completely still with your eyes closed for even 60 seconds after waking gives your brain a longer window before that flood hits. Second, because the dream is sitting in a short-term buffer, not long-term storage, getting it into words, out loud or written down, while you're still in that buffer is what actually moves it into a memory that lasts. Not later, immediately. A dream you tell yourself you'll write down after coffee is a dream that's already gone by the time you get to it. So the next time a dream evaporates the moment you sit up, that's not a broken memory. That's a brain that generated an entire experience it never intended to keep, using logic centers that were only half turned on, then handed the whole thing to a system with almost no chemical instruction to save it. Most nights, that's exactly what you want. But on the nights you don't, the ones you actually want to keep, you now know precisely which 60 seconds matter and what to do with them before they're gone.